Hey everyone, this is the beginning of, we'll call it soup to nuts, which is an old European saying for like when you had a dinner party over. We're going to start to finish. This video is going to take about 5-6 weeks in total because we're going to start tonight with the yeast starter. We're going to get the brew day, which is on Saturday in 2 days, and we're going to do the racking, the kegging, and the tapping all throughout, so we're going to follow along. But first things first, we're going to make a yeast starter. This beer is Mac and Jack's African Amber Clone. Never had the beer, but I've seen so many good reviews on it. We're going to do it. It's a 1060 beer, and according to the Mr. Malty Yeast pitching rate calculator, based on the viability at 55%, with this yeast being a little over 2 months old, I need a 1.71 milliliter or 1.71 liter starter for this. I'm going to keep it a 1040 starter beer, and let's see how it goes. Okay, there's a good chance I've forgotten some stuff here, but we'll add them in as we get there. First of all, for the beer itself, I just use Munton's Light DME. We got a little bit left over from the last time, and then a new one that we're going to open up probably too. I brew in gallons and quarts, ounces, and all that. But for these starters, because they're so small, I actually like to use liters and grams. So for this, we're going to use 1.88 liters, boiling for 15 minutes, which will bring me down to a 1.71. I have this measuring cup. It doesn't matter what it is though, but what I've got in here is I have a coned piece of aluminum foil, and the starter bar or the stir bars in there as well. We're going to have those sanitized. My scale here, we're going to actually measure out 187 grams to put in that 1.88 liter starter, just because I like to be as precise as I can control. Then another piece of aluminum foil. All this is like just a work tray. I'm going to keep this funnel. We're going to sanitize it before we put it into the gallon jug. I don't use a Erlenmeyer flask. All I use is this jug. Works very well. I'll pour vortex nicely, or I'll pull vortex nicely on my stir plate. This is a fresh made Star San solution. As I said, I like to be as precise as possible, but we don't use precise measurement when we get the Star San. And then the giant 16 quart stock pot to make a 1.7 liter starter, and I'll show you why that is when we get closer to the end, why I use such a big pot for that. Okay, now we have the 1.88 liters of water in this big pot. It barely does anything at the bottom. We're going to keep this covered as it's coming to a boil. We still practice uncovering while boiling. I've made the Star San solution of a gallon. Here's a little tip on this stuff too. There's a 1 ounce line right there. If you fill it to there, that's enough for 5 gallons. So a half gallon or a half ounce is good enough for 2.5 gallons. So what I do is I get that about in the middle, a little bit shy of right between the bottom and the half ounce mark. And then what we're going to do here is sanitize the inside of that. So all I do is I just spray enough in there, and this is also going to be a little versatile piece of aluminum foil, and it helps to have a cone shape like that. Not only does it provide a cup for the stir bar, but it keeps the keeps the aluminum foil sanitized, because that's what we're going to use to cap the 1 gallon jug while it's on the stir plate. Don't want an airlock on here. I don't care about head pressure. We're going to go ahead and let all that CO2 escape. We don't care much about the other stuff. Alright, we'll check back in here in a minute. There she is, 187 grams. Not 186, not 188, 187 grams. That's going to make us, according to Beersmith, and to my 20% evaporation rate, exactly at a 1040 beer. If I'm a little bit overestimating my evaporation rate, we'll have a thinner beer. If I'm underestimating, we'll have a heavier beer. But It's typically about 20%, so we'll be right on the money. Okay, she's damn near a boil. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to flame out to add the DME. I don't want to scorch it, especially with such a small quantity. So we're going to throw her in there. Go ahead and dump it fast, otherwise it tries to clump up right there on it. Alright, we'll stir this in pretty good here. As you can see, I burned myself, bastard. Alright, we're going to stick her back on the flame. Turn her back on. Make sure it's centered because this is electric here. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer now to 15 minutes because I want it set. I want it to boil for 15 minutes because that's what I told Beersmith that I needed to get down to 1.71. So as soon as it starts to boil, we're going to start the timer.